Hello and welcome to Sports Extras once again. I am Ayan Acharya here to preview the second test between England and Pakistan to be played at the Aegis Bowl in Southampton. To discuss more about the game, we have joining us from Bangalore, as always, my colleague Ashwin Achal. Hi Ashwin.
Hi, Ayan. Good to be back.
Good to have you back. Right, so let's get started Jimmy Anderson, who's been quite rightly so, you'd say, the topic of discussion in the lead up to this game. Recently, he did a press conference where he said that if he keeps bowling the way he has been this summer, then his selection could be out of his hands. And yet, he says he retains the hunger to play Test cricket and has plenty to offer. About that, what do you make of this entire situation?
I won't write him off just yet, Ayan. I would back what Captain Joe Root said a few minutes ago at the press conference when he said you write off somebody like Jimmy Anderson at your own peril. I think he still has a lot to offer English cricket. Yes, he has been struggling for wickets in recent matches, but if you want somebody to exploit local English conditions, then you would put your money on James Anderson every single time. So I won't write him off just yet. Two more matches to go. The pressure is on, no doubt. I think it will bring the best out of him because, like you said, I think he also knows that he's been struggling. So this could be do or die for him. I think he will come good.
Right. And Anderson is likely to feature in the playing 11. I mean, he, of course, skipper Joe Root didn't give away the playing 11, but it looks highly likely that Jimmy Anderson will be in the 11. What do you reckon England's combination could be? Will they go in again with four seamers? Ben Stokes will not play the remaining Test matches, so that also will have a bearing on the team combination.
Yeah, I think since Stokes has been playing more of a batsman than a bowler in recent matches, they will look to strengthen their batting because if they go ahead with the four pacers and a spinner in Don Best that they have been doing in the previous matches, I don't think they will miss Ben Stokes, the bowler. So I think there's a hole in the batting which Stokes has left behind by skipping off this match. So yeah, I think it's the batting which they need to strengthen.
Which is where I think someone like Zach Crawley comes in. He could find himself batting at number 3, and then Joe Root can drop to number 4. That's a fair point, of course. Moving on to Dom Sibley, English opener, who's the other batsman, other English player who's drawn criticism of late for his slow strike rate. I find it very curious because closer home we know Pujara found himself in a similar rut not long ago, where his ability to farm the innings in the longer format was brought into question by head coach Ravi Shastri, and he was asked to sort of ramp up his pace as well. So do you think a lot of this flag that Sibley is getting is slightly unfair?
Yeah, I don't understand it either. I think a lot of this slow strike rate criticism is unwarranted because this is Test cricket, especially if you are an opener. It is your job to see off the new ball. It is not your job to score a century in the first session of the match. And also, Ayan, you have to understand that not everybody is a Sehwag. Not everybody is a Gilchrist. If you see Pujara, you can't ask him to go around belting everybody and getting a century in a session. And similarly, you can't expect that from somebody like Sibley. The reason why he has been picked is because he's a slow, steady batsman who will wear the bowlers down with the dead bat. So when you've selected him and you've given him chances in Test cricket, and he has done well, of course, we've seen that he has done well. He's got a century and all that. You can't now say that you expect him to score quickly because it is just not in his nature. And he's doing his job. That's what an opener is supposed to do.
Yeah, interesting you mentioned that because Dom Sibley is second only to Stokes in terms of number of runs scored, and now that Stokes this summer, that is, and now that Stokes will not play the remaining 2 Test matches, there's every chance that Sibley might end this English summer as the team's highest run getter in Test cricket. And again, recently in a chat, he has said that he reckons he hasn't offered the entire gamut of skills that he has. But I honestly feel that a lot of criticism that has come his way, at least for his strike rate, is unwarranted, because last year or the year before that, Pujara, during a chat with Sportstar, had said that uh, his conversation with Kumble is what helped him work his way around that debate about strike rate. Kumble had mentioned how it all boils down to intent, and intent may not necessarily be scoring runs all the time. You may be blocking and yet be dominating the bowler. And that's exactly what someone like Sibley has been doing. And as you correctly pointed out, England had struggled to, were always struggling to find, an able second opening partner for Alistair Cook when he was still around. With Cook's departure, of course, that number one, number two slot, it's been musical chairs with a lot of players coming in and going out. So you reckon in Sibley and Burns, they've finally settled in on a pair that's looking good. Of course, they have to do much better, but you'd say they have to be given a longer rope, right?
Yeah, I mean, they are traditional openers, both of them. They don't really go on all-out attack. They like to take their time and not score too quickly, which is totally fine. I mean, like you said, England have been struggling to find openers even when Cook was there. I mean, his partner was a big problem. So I think Burns and Sibley deserve a longer run.
Correct. Right. Moving on. Pakistan. I mean, they had that test match in their grasp and saw it slip away. Well, partly due to some unimaginative captaincy from Azhar Ali, you would say. Your comments on where he could make amends in the upcoming game?
I think Azhar Ali now is a reactive captain rather
Hmm.
than being a proactive captain. I think that is
Okay.
the problem there. He waits for things to happen rather than forcing it to happen. For example, when Pakistan had England 6 or 7 down,
Yeah.
you need to push your fielders in. You need to get close in catches. You need to instruct your bowlers to bowl wicket-taking deliveries. By that I mean, if you bowl short, put it in the face, or if you want to go full, keep it really full and try and attack the stumps. Whereas the bowlers were sort of hanging around on good length and with the not so attacking field, waiting for things to happen. A bit
Yeah.
of a problem there. If you go actively seeking a victory,
Hmm.
then it adds another dimension to your captaincy. Whereas now, Azhar Ali is a bit laid back and just hoping that things will go his way. So, a bit more proactive thinking from Azhar Ali, and his captaincy record would be much better.
Yeah, and another department that they would want to look into would be their batting, perhaps. Of course, the bowling. I honestly don't feel they did much wrong with the ball, really. I mean, as we discussed earlier as well in our series, in our test match wrap earlier, that maybe a 30 odd runs, a target of 300, and the game could have swung Pakistan's way. It was just a matter of 20 extra runs or that one good ball, and the partnership would have been broken. But really, I mean, they have got a great bowling attack, which is bound to come good with the conditions, conducive for them. But I think someone like Babar Azam needs to step up as well, score those big hundreds he's known for. Azhar Ali, a lot was being talked about how Pakistan's batting will revolve around these two, Azhar Ali and Babar Azam. So you think that the top three sort of needs to get its act together as well?
Yeah, batting has let Pakistan down. I have no doubt about it. We said this at the start of the series also. We have no doubts that the Pakistan bowling attack is world class. If
Correct.
anything, it is only going to be the batting which is suspect.
Correct.
And that is exactly what happened in the first test,
Mm.
especially in the second innings when they bowled out cheaply after getting a first innings lead of 100 odd. So
Yeah.
definitely, no doubt about it. Babar Azam, Azhar Ali, Shan Masood, they need to kick on, make big scores. Shan Masood showed the way. He showed
Yeah.
the way. You don't need to be an expansive stroke player to get a 150. So he has shown the way. It's time now for Azhar Ali and Babar Azam especially to get the big scores. And for God's sake, help out your bowlers. I mean, they are doing their very best. Do not let them down. This is
Yeah.
exactly what happened in the West Indies series also.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
bowling was good, but the batting
Yeah.
repeatedly let them down. I think the
Yeah.
bowlers are going to be really annoyed if the batsmen continue
Yeah.
to just waste away all their efforts like this.
Right, right. True, very true. I'm sure Pakistan bowlers would be hoping for a much better performance from their, the batting teammates. But yeah, I mean, let's see how the action unfolds when ball one is bowled in Southampton. I'm sure Pakistan will be itching to make it 1-1. My prediction still stands. I'm going for a 2-1 Pakistan series win. And what about you? Do you
No
have a
way,
change
bro.
of mind? Or
I'm sticking to 3-0, Ayan. I'm on
3-0?
track.
Okay. Okay.
Ayan, what
So
do you reckon about Broad finding Broad? From the ethics
yeah.
side of it, I'm not a big fan. What do you feel?
It was quite odd, wasn't it? I mean, it's the first time a father has fined his son, and it's not. It puts both of them in a bit of a soup. In fact, Joe Root today was asked if he had a chance to speak to Broad after the whole incident, and Root sort of shrugged off the discussion, saying, he's sure maybe Broad had a frosty, Stuart Broad had a frosty chat with his dad, but I mean, it's a yeah. I mean, you imagine that if a situation arises where your dad's the match referee and you are the player in contention, then maybe someone else could take the call instead of you. But at the same time, one could argue that a job of the match referee is to be unbiased and give the call regardless of who they are ruling against. So I mean, I guess that's the name of the game. What about you? What are your thoughts on it?
Uh, to be frank, Ayan, I don't like it at all. I don't like it
Okay.
at all. I mean, this poses a very serious ethical and moral dilemma in my eyes. You can brush it off and say that Chris Broad is an established match referee. He's not going to be biased. I have no reason to doubt that. But I want to go back to an old Shakespearean phrase, Ayan. Caesar's wife must be above suspicion. What does that mean? If you have a position of power, you
Yeah.
cannot be involved in things which sort of shows you in a bad light. Now
Mm,
again, if I was Chris Broad, I would have recused myself from this match and this series whenever my son is playing, simply because, like you said, it just creates an awkward situation. Even if you do your job perfectly well and unbiased, you allow room for murmurs and
yep.
bias and conflict of interest. And speaking of conflict of interest, if you can compare it to what is happening in Indian cricket now, even the
Yeah.
mildest conflict of interest is
Mm,
not tolerated anymore. Something like this is is blatant. I'm not
yeah.
saying that Chris Broad is going to go light on his son. I'm not saying that, but it just opens you up for all sorts of criticism. Recuse
Right.
yourself for this particular match. I know that England has only one internationally qualified match referee in Broad, but I think the
Mm,
ICC needs to use their common sense, not stick to
mm,
the rules, appoint somebody neutral, fly them over, give them the same bubble sort of treatment, just
mm,
so that we don't get these sort of debates again. This is a and honestly, Ion, yesterday, Stuart Broad made a joke about it, saying,
yeah.
my father is not on my Christmas list or something like that. Fair play. He's trying to downgrade, but I don't think they really understand the seriousness of the situation, because in a situation where, say, if Broad had uh, made a big offense, like a bannable offense, 3 match,
Mm,
4 match ban, in that case, that would put Chris Broad in a strange situation, because end of the day, he is his father. And would you say that as a father, I have to be stricter with my
mm,
punishment because he's my son, just to prove that I'm unbiased? That's not
yeah.
fair on the son. That's not fair
Mm,
on the match referee, the father either. I don't like this. I don't like this situation at all. And
yeah.
Chris Broad should recuse himself, because it's not
Yeah.
like Stuart Broad is going to opt out of playing. Chris Broad has to recuse
Correct.
himself. ICC has to step in and
Yeah.
appoint somebody else.
And it brings back memories of the ball tampering scandal from 2018, when there was a world of difference in the sanctions imposed by the International Cricket Council and Cricket Australia. Many at the time felt that Cricket Australia went slightly overboard with its punishment for the three players, and the argument made was that CA had to be seen doing the right thing. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, Chris Broad could be found on a sticky wicket if Stuart Broad ends up crossing the line in and doing something that perhaps requires more than just docking of 15% of his match fee. So we still have 10 days of Test cricket left in this series, weather permitting. So we will see how that plays out, whether Broad crosses the line again. Both will, for his sake and for his father's sake, we would hope not. And yeah, I mean, that would be all from our side. Pakistan, as we discussed, would be hoping that their batsmen come good. England, it'll be interesting to see what kind of playing 11 they pick for the Southampton test. Regardless, we'll be back with our coverage and analysis at the end of the first day's play. Until then, this is Ayan Acharya and Ashwin Achal signing off for Sportstar. Thank you so much for watching us.